Okay, I just saw the movie Paranormal Activity 2 a couple days ago, and I made a review um, of it and the first movie as well. Um, Pretty quick review, but then decided, you know what, I need to get started on doing the reviews for the International Film Festival movies, and so I decided, you know what, put that aside, don't need to worry about it. But then I started having weird stuff happening. Having nightmares. Also had, I would put things down in one room and leave the room. Then when I get back, it's gone. It's moved to another room, and there'd be nobody in the house who would have done it. Um, Sometimes the radios would randomly turn on, and radio clocks would randomly turn on in the house, and they're all playing the same annoying, weird, creepy music um, by Justin Bieber. Um, and Yeah, I think that these are signs that I have to put up the review that I started. So hopefully if I put these.
Hello and good evening. Tonight we're going to discuss the importance of building up fear and tension in horror and suspense films. Recently I've gone to see the movie Paranormal Activity 2, which is the sequel to, of course, Paranormal Activity from last year. Now this movie is very unique and interesting to talk about because, just like its predecessor, they deal with a lot of building up tension and subtle hints of fear that horror movies don't seem to have as much today or are not executed as well. Now, as you can see, I do have the DVD of the first movie here with me. So let's start off by talking about the first movie. Now, just to summarize what the first movie is if you haven't seen it, it's a movie that talks about a couple, Katie and Micah, who moved into this new home of theirs, um, and strange things start happening in their house. Um, and the movie doesn't really build up to the situation. What it does, it actually um, puts you right there. So in the beginning, right away, Katie's already driving up to the driveway, and Mike already has a camera that he bought to record any supernatural activities. Now, throughout the movie, you see continued build-ups, little subtle hints of something being there in their house. You don't know if it's a ghost or anything. Over time, their actions and their interaction with the supernatural being become agitated and a little dangerous. And it just builds up to this shocking ending, which actually, rumor has it, the ending in the film festival is actually very different from what is in the worldwide theater release. And there's also an alternate ending on the DVD as well. I'm not going to reveal any of those to you, just in case you haven't seen it already. What I liked about the movie, though. It was simple special effects. It, again, like I said, it's documentary style. It's based off of a video camera that they use, and you don't see too much surprise. It's just basic special effects, very subtle. Even in the build up with some of the scarier parts, they rely more on the acting and how they build up each scene. Acting wasn't great, but it did a lot to at least make it more realistic. So that's what is interesting. I give actually that movie a lot of credit for what it did. As a matter of fact, it only had a budget of a few $100,000, and when it was released in theaters worldwide, it made millions. Um, the ending was left open, at least the ending I saw, left it open to a possible sequel, which at that point most people thought it would be just left up to our minds how it would end. This leads us to the second movie, Paranormal Activity 2. Now, Paranormal Activity 2 has some similarities and differences to its predecessor. Some of the similarities is it's a supernatural being wreaking havoc on family, and you're looking through the eyes of the characters through cameras that they have. No movie, third-person camera work. It's just pure. Here's the cameras that they use. Now the difference is the family. First of all, it's a full family with 2 kids, a dog, husband, and a wife, and you're looking through their experiences through the lens of a camera that the daughter has with night vision, as well as security cameras that were installed in the house after a burglary, at least what they thought was a burglary at the beginning of the movie, happened. Now, how this ties into the first one is not just the supernatural activity and the supernatural being causing trouble similar to what happened in the first one, but one of the key things that tie it together is the wife in this movie. The wife's name is Christy Ray. She is actually the sister of Katie from the first movie. So what Paranormal Activity 2 really is, it's more of an explanation as to why the first one happened, at the same time shows you what they went through and a little more gets you to know this supernatural being a little bit more as well. Now, unlike the first movie, this movie's a little more fast-paced in its tempo of building up tension and fear. In the first movie, they build it up a little bit more as they're teasing it, nothing happens, teasing it, nothing happens, until they start really showing how scary things can be. In this one, they do a little bit about it, like a little bit of that, but in a fast-paced tempo. You get to see a lot of the early scares, especially the kitchen scene. Not the first one, there's a second kitchen scene that I don't know too many people that didn't jump out of their seats after seeing that. That was probably one of the scariest scenes in the movie. Now, one picky thing I want to say is the acting was actually a little bit better in this one, a little more realistic emotionally, but some of the actions of some of the characters were out of the ordinary, especially the daughter. There's one point where she has to babysit her baby brother, and something happens where she is locked out of the house. And as you see this whole thing unfold, she doesn't take the right steps to ensure her brother's safety, and it's not till after the fact that they realized, what was going on, and try to make sure the baby was safe. Now, in this movie, the mother, Christy, she is a lot more scared than Kitty was in the first movie. You could tell just from earlier experiences, she is scared from the beginning, and she's frightened throughout the whole thing, very paranoid, everything. One of the things I will comment, though, that was a key thing was the ending. A lot of people had mixed reactions about the ending. I actually liked it. Mainly because although I saw it coming and was expecting it, it still was shocking to me how things unfolded. It is still left open for a possibility of a sequel, which, typical Hollywood, they might try to make more money off this. This movie cost only a couple million to make, which is a lot more than its predecessor, which only cost a few $100,000 to make, and this one, Paranormal Activity 2 made about 46 million on its opening night. 46 million. Opening night, or at least opening weekend. That's a lot more money than they spent to produce and make this movie, so who knows, there might be a third one. It's kind of interesting because the original Paranormal Activity there was no intention to make a sequel. It was a movie just built to be unique. But they ended up making a sequel. They did tie up a lot of loose ends in explaining what happened in the first one and why, but at the same time they brought up a lot of other questions that need to be answered. That still, in some ways, you go, oh, that makes sense, but I don't understand. I don't get how that relates to the first one or how that happened. Um, Other than that, I actually felt this movie was better than the first one, though. The scares were a little more. There were more scares in this one. Although it wasn't as subtle, things popped out more than what you expect, especially if you're trying to get into the movie. Um, the scares really put you in the setting of the characters and how they were feeling. Um, all in all, though, I give Paranormal Activity 2 a B plus, similar to what I gave the first movie, B plus. They're both very good movies, and I think in order for you to really get a true feel of Paranormal Activity 2, you need to watch the first one. So, if you get the chance, go check it. Check both of them out. Make sure you see the first one before you see the second one. Other than that, tonight, wish you guys a happy Halloween coming up, and class dismissed.
I got to slip from work.